I'm Esteban.
And I'm Sarah, and this is episode 141. Today's podcast is brought to you by OneTDC. Unlock your athlete's full potential with a unique competitive edge solution, OneTDC. 1-tetradecanol complex is a patented blend of unique fatty acid oils designed to safely and effectively keep joints and muscles at their best to maximize performance and shorten recovery time. 1TDC is used by many current and past national agility champions and world team members, and now Bad Dog Agility listeners can get a great 1TDC special offer by purchasing online at BDA1TDC.com. That's BDA, the number 1, TDC.com.
Today's podcast is also brought to you by Back on Track. Dog agility is a demanding sport and can be difficult on the body, both the dogs and the humans. Back on Track specializes in dog blankets, beds, and wraps that keep muscles warm and reduce the pain in joints. If you've got a nagging knee, calf, or ankle injury, Back on Track's human products can help get you back in the ring. Visit Back on Track at backontrackproducts.com.
Today, we're joined by Liz Armstrong, and we wanted to talk about how we can welcome novice competitors into the sport. And for this podcast, it's going to be just me and Liz. So Liz, tell me a little bit about your history in agility.
I started in agility when I got my first agility dog. It's a Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever, and his name is Rusty. And we started training when he was about 6 months old, and then when he was about 18 months old, which was about in 2012, we entered our first agility competition. So we've been in the sport for almost 4 years.
The reason that we wanted to have you on the podcast is that you're involved with putting on a really interesting trial geared towards the novice competitor. Tell us about that trial. It's called the New Beginnings Trial.
Yes. So I am the trial chairperson for the Nova Scotia Duck Tolling Retriever Club, and we are hosting New Beginnings. And New Beginnings is all about celebrating novice teams. So there's several things we do for the novices. First, we have mentors, which we call trailblazers, who are available to help answer questions and show them around and kind of just give them, all the support and guidance that novice teams need. And then we also give each novice team a welcome bag, and we also award high-end trial prizes to each of the different novice classes. So the A's and the B's and the preferreds all kind of have their own prizes and awards. So really the goal of New Beginnings is to provide a positive experience for all the novice teams, no matter what happens in the ring.
I think that's fantastic. And it's an idea that Esteban and I have talked about in previous podcasts, the idea of being available to the novice competitor, of taking them under your wing and doing it in a more formal way, like having people on site whose purpose is to help the novice competitor and letting the novice competitors know that those people are available to them. So I think this is a fantastic idea. Where did the idea for this come from? This is your second year doing the trial?
Yes. So last year we had an opportunity to host our very first all-breed agility trial. And so in thinking about how we could kind of differentiate ourselves from all the other trials, because there's a trial almost every weekend up in Northern California, we kind of thought about, there was nobody doing anything for the novice teams. And for myself, it happened to be that trial weekend we had picked was the anniversary of our first trial. So I felt that if we could make it really special, it'd be something that, would bring the novices back, because, that's, once I discovered the sport of agility, it was just something, I wanted to do all the time.
I think it's really great that you are so relatively new to the sport, and yet now you're in a position to organize things like this that can help other people that are new to the sport. And it really highlights how somebody who is a novice competitor today may have a real impact in the sport 3, 4, 5 years down the line. I mean, we were all novice competitors at some point. So every person that we can bring into the sport, not only does it help our sport grow, but some of those people are going to go on to have an impact on others in the sport. And I think it's really great that you're able to kind of remember how you felt as a novice competitor and now influence these new novice competitors coming in.
Yes. And what's really exciting is once you're in agility and the community, it's really, really a wonderful place to be. And I think just wanting, I know you guys are very passionate. You just want to share your passion with others. And so I think that's where, focusing on the novices and, trying to get new people coming into the sport is important.
And those people are going to appreciate everything that you do for them in such a deep way. So we tend to cater to the advanced competitor who they've had pictures of their dogs taken at 15 different trials. They already have a picture of their dog doing the weaves and the A-frame and the dog walk. And unless the picture is spectacular, they're not going to buy the next one. But when these novice people come to a trial like this and they get a goodie bag and they get something from AKC and they get a photographer there taking action shots of their dogs, it's their first time for all of that, So, I can see these competitors going and buying, the entire photo package of their dog sort of thing, right?
Yes. Like when I was planning for last year, I felt like there was two things we needed, and that was a photographer and a videographer, because that's all you want.
Yeah, right.
You're not thinking about getting your dog a massage on the first trial, and you're just thinking about having the memories memorialized. So those are, two things that was important to get. And then the other thing that was really important was just getting really, friendly and enthusiastic judges. Our first set of judges were Linda Robertson and Rhonda Berkey, and they were just fantastic. They're, saying good try, they were clapping, and they just, really just enjoyed being out there judging every team. So, it was really important that this year that we can kind of, continue the tradition of finding friendly and enthusiastic judges.
And who did you select for this year?
We've selected two Texans. They're Wendell Ewing and Alan Arthur.
Texans are pretty friendly.
Yes.
A lot of them. So what has the response been like from the novice competitors?
Oh, last year it was really, really just incredible. I mean, I got many emails and thank you cards and messages sent through other people thanking us for just making them feel welcome, not feeling stupid for asking questions. And they felt special that we lavished them with, prizes and gift bag, the gift bag. So it was great. And I see some of these novice folks now, they're in masters, and it's wonderful. I mean, it's just to see them progress and see them 3, 4, 6 months down the road at the trials. It's really great.
So tell us a little bit about the lead up before the trial, because one thing that I noticed was that you have a Facebook page and that you've been putting a lot of information out there well in advance of the trial itself. So tell us about kind of your rationale there.
Yes. So we're trying to reach the novice competitor, and we're trying to reach, a lot of A's. I figured most of these people are probably training with an instructor or at a school. So I felt that it was important to try to reach out to all the instructors, as many as I could, and let them know that, hey, there's this trial that's coming up. It's, it's not next month. It's not in 2 months. It's, it's 4 or 5 months away, so that these instructors, who know firsthand how their students are doing and who's ready, could get them ready for the competition. So I compiled a list of almost 40 instructors, and then myself and my club members, we we did kind of this email outreach program, I think about 5 months before the trial to tell them about the trial. And then, just recently I've followed up with the trainers, just letting them know, some of this information that's on the Facebook post, but, there's a lot of people who aren't on Facebook. So it was just important to, reach the instructor because I felt that they were the key of knowing the population of who we're trying to reach.
Right. And I think it's a really good point that you make that the novice competitors are not ready to just enter a trial at the drop of a hat. It's not like the masters where we can decide, okay, well, this trial hasn't closed. I'm going to go ahead and enter it. If they're truly making this one of their first couple of trials that they do ever with their dog, it's worth it to schedule that around an event that's going to be so welcoming and be such a good environment for them and their dog, because they need and want a good first experience, and their instructors want that for them as well. And so if you can set up your students and say, okay, maybe you're ready to enter your first trial this month, but if you wait one more month, your first trial can be this new beginnings trial where you're going to get all of these great prizes and where there's going to be people on site helping you every step of the way. Like, it's worth it to kind of time that novice debut around a show like this. Yeah.
And some of the instructors are actually coming to the trial with their students, so it's, they're doing it together. So I think that's great too. And the other thing that we've been trying to let the novice teams know is about the fun matches. I think it's really important that, teams are, trying to do some fun matches before they come to the trial and, getting that information out there, because it is like when you're a beginner, you don't know of all those websites. They don't know about Bad Dog Agility. They don't know about, the Bay team. They don't know, you know nothing. So,
they may not even know what about the concept of a fun match. If we're talking about truly, novice A competitors with their very first agility dog.
Right. They don't know where they're happening and all the different clubs that would have that information. So I kind of try to just compile that information so that, they could just kind of go to one place, and know, what was going on. And then, I'm certain that, 3 months after the trial that, we'll have figured out all the other websites and places to go. But it was just important to, get the information out there as early as possible and kind of just keep the information up to date.
And it's the novice competitor that you're really welcoming and making feel special at this trial, but it's a regular trial with regular classes, and you're also doing some pretty interesting things for the master's level competitors. So tell us about what else you have going on at this trial.
Yes. So last year when I knew that, hey, we want to do this for the novice folks, but, our bread and butter is also the master folks. What, was there anything we could do to, make it a little bit more enticing for them to come? So after going to nationals, where they had premier sweepstakes, I kind of reached out to AKC Agility and just asked them, hey, could we do premier sweepstakes? And this was before premier officially began, which was October 1st. So our trial was in September. So they said, sure. So, so we had a premier standard sweepstakes, and it was great. I mean, it was, just a really fun competitive turnout, amongst the masters teams. And it was just just something different, I think, to offer the exhibitors. And so then this year, when it came around, I asked AKC if we could do something with the premier classes. And then I think in talking with them, and I wanted to do a sweepstakes component again, but I didn't know if they would allow it because there was money involved and that we maybe couldn't count our cues. But when they told me I could count my cues and get cash, I was like, oh, this would be great, because I mean, who doesn't want to win cash?
Right.
So, and we set it up so that, where it's a biathlon event. So, you only need to queue in one of the standard or jumpers, and then you're eligible for the sweepstakes component. And then we just add time or deduct from your score for the faults. So because you get an in queue doesn't necessarily mean that you're completely out. So we kind of just decided, add a little twist. And still, if you get a queue, if you double queue, you probably have a great chance of placing in the top.
I love everything you're doing with this trial. And the reason that I wanted to have you on this podcast that, people are going to listen to all over the United States and even all over the world, and they're not going to go to your New Beginnings trial, is because I really love the ideas that you have. And I think that there's room for clubs all over the world to incorporate some of these ideas into some of their trials and to make this sport so welcoming for novice competitors. And I think it's important because we've seen a decrease in new people coming into the sport. And at some point, the sport is not going to grow or maybe even maintain without those new competitors, because dogs are retiring, people are retiring. And if we want to continue to see our sport maintain, we have to have those new competitors. So I really hope that people will take some of these ideas back to their local clubs and maybe have a special award for a novice class, or maybe have certain people wearing pins defined as being helpers for the novice class. Any of these ideas that you have that are going to help the novice competitor.
You bring up a really good point about the population of the novices and, how can we attract more people to the sport? I think what's in our favor is I think a lot of people, like pet people, are much more savvy these days about training. They're more open to it. And I think that brings this population that's, into training, and agility is now very accessible. It's not so far away. Like, it's like, hey, I can, I've just trained my dog in obedience. I can do agility. So I think with that evolution of more people doing training, that there is this population, but yeah, how can we tap into it? And then, how can we make it accessible? And I think, yes, welcoming them in whatever ways, little ways is going to be beneficial.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast. And thank you so much for everything that you're doing for your local area novice competitors.
Thank you for inviting me.
And that's it for this week's podcast. Today's podcast was brought to you by NTI Global. Visit NTI Global for the widest selection of dog agility tunnels for both competition and backyard training. Known for free shipping, more options, high quality products, and low prices, NTI Global has got you covered. They also offer chutes, tunnel chutes, tamer and ankle weight bags, along with a full line of accessories and agility storage solutions. Need your agility gear in a hurry? Don't forget to check the in-stock selection. Use promo code BADDOG5 for 5% off. You'll find links to all of our sponsors, NTI Global, 1TDC, and Back on Track, at the show notes page at baddogagility.com/141.